I've got DJD and no farmer.
Hey,
What episode is this?
8, I think.
So
Something like
this
that.
is the most he's come in any season, isn't it? Possibly.
Yes, 100%.
He's
Well,
been on like
maybe season
all of
1?
the episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe season 1. Yeah, and not to forget, in the back over there we've got Craig. What's up, Craig?
Yeah, this is episode 8,
But
I just confirmed.
what is up, D? How you been?
Been all right, been okay. Uh, you know, post-vacation blues a little bit, like, getting back to work and everything and all that jazz.
You know what I don't understand is there are people who are like, oh yeah, I had a vacation and I came back invigorated, ready to go back to work, and that has literally never happened to me.
It's never
I've
me either.
I'm like,
What?
work. What's that? No, I don't want to
Yeah.
do that. I don't have to go back, right? I don't want to go back. That part of my life is over, right? That's what I often feel like. I am actually in the middle of a week of vacation as well. And so I don't want to go back. Teach children? No. No, definitely not. Me? I would never, right?
It's just definitely a different change of pace, I mean, like,
No, for sure. I did it and I bought another Switch 2. So I have bought 3 Switch 2s at this
that's
point. In
wild.
the course of a month, I bought 3 Switch 2s.
That's like how
But
many Xbox 360s I bought back when they were red ringing.
so wild. But the second one I bought is an international version so I can play it in English and go through everything in English. And I'm going to be honest, I love it. It's a great console. I really like it. There's a lot of people were complaining about and hating on the game sharing feature that Nintendo has. And while I guess if it's no like okay, so probably the best game sharing is actually an Xbox game sharing feature, right? The home Xbox feature
Oh, sure. Yeah.
is the best. Because with the home Xbox feature, you set your home Xbox to like your friend's home Xbox, and any account on that Xbox has access to all of your games, has access to your Game Pass stuff, and has access to online play. And then you can play simultaneously with that person, having only
Right.
bought one game.
That would be the biggest thing is like being able to actually even play the same exact game, even if
Yep.
the other person doesn't own it. Like, yeah.
Right. Like, so one license was paid for and multiple people can play it. This is the best game sharing in gaming. Next, you've got like the Steam. I actually don't know what it's like on PlayStation, but for Steam family sharing, if you're going to share your Steam library, you do share the games across both. And actually, one cool thing with the Steam family is it goes both ways. Everybody shares all the games,
Sure.
but it's only the amount of licenses is the same as the amount that have been bought. So if both people have bought Baldur's Gate 3, you can play Baldur's Gate 3 together. If only one person has bought it, only one person in the Steam family can play it at a time, right? That's how Steam does it. And while people may not like it, I think that that is fair to a
I agree.
degree.
Yeah. Although I will
And
say, you know what? Props to EA, specifically that one studio that keeps on coming out with like A Way Out and like Split Fiction and shoot, what's the other game they came out with?
It Takes Two.
But It Takes Two, yeah. Like they've kind of inspired a few other games to do the same thing as them, where essentially you get the game and then you also get a free to play, like anyone else can also
Copy
play
for
with
it.
someone who owns the game. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, like
that's
that's
super
really
cool.
cool. Yeah. So
And
all you need is like a friend who owns the game, and then you can play with them, which is neat. Yeah, that's
right.
awesome.
I mean, it's like couch co-op, right?
Yeah,
Like it's actually pretty sweet. And so that's how Steam does it. And also I was reading that actually game developers can opt out of being included in this as well. So like there are some games that I don't know if anyone does, but I read that the game developer can opt out of like the Steam family situation. And so everyone would have to buy the game. Nintendo's version of this is the digital game cards, right? Which or virtual game cards they call it.
Right.
And so the idea is that even if you buy a game virtually, it's like kind of similar to buying it physically, and then you can lend that game to someone in your Nintendo family group only. You can lend the game to them for 14 days at a time. So they'll get the license for 14 days. And when that happens, you cannot play the game. They're playing the game. Another really interesting feature of this that I found is the consoles actually have to be in proximity to each other.
Really? I did not know that.
There's actually a pretty cool animation that you both get on like the virtual screen and it shows in your console and then it flips around and shoots over to your friends, like to the other console, and it goes in on their console, like on the screen, as if you gave them the card. So you have to be physically close to each other and then you share the card, but the person who lent it can take it back like before that, or the person who has it can also send it back before that. And you would have to re up it every 14 days if you want to lend it for longer than that. But the cool thing, in my opinion, with this digital sharing in this style is when they lose the license for it, they don't uninstall the game though. So you can
It's kind of
have
nice.
the
Yeah.
game installed. So basically, then it's just a license transfer really quick, right? So I bought one copy of Pocopia and Chiho is playing. I'm playing it. Chiho has an account on my Switch too, and she is playing it. And the nice thing about Pocopia as compared to Animal Crossing is it's tied per account, not per Switch, right? So like in Animal Crossing, the island is the Switch. So like if you have two separate accounts playing, you share an island.
That was so annoying,
Um,
actually, for like
yeah,
Nintendo to do that. Yeah.
this one is totally separated. So she actually can even play in Japanese and I can play in English because there's a language select at the very beginning of the game. And there's no changing. That's what the future should be. And then my son is also playing on his Switch. When he wants to play, if I feel like lending him my game, I just quick, yeah, sure, you can play until I want to play it again, and I just shoot it over to him. He walks over, right, and I shoot it over to him, and he can play it. It's actually a very nice system. I can see compared to like the Xbox system, compared to the Steam system, I can understand why people don't like it. It's very limited, right? To be like, it's clearly keyed for like being in the same house as somebody, right?
That's super interesting. I didn't know that it was like that. I didn't know that it
Yeah.
had those limitations on it. The proximity
Yeah.
limitation specifically was like that actually is kind of shocking because like that's not the way that I kind of interpreted it from the like initial like announcement of how
Mm-hmm.
game sharing was going to work. And so like yeah, that's kind of a surprise.
It was a surprise to me when we did it for the first time. I wanted to try it, and it's like, all right, he has to stand next to you, you know?
Right.
And so he actually had to walk over. So I was playing with my Switch in like in the dock at the TV, and he had to go over by the TV. And I don't know how big of a distance it can be, but yeah. So you can't just share games over the internet, even with the same account. For example, that's not going to work.
Which is
And yeah,
fair. I mean like, I mean
right.
like
In the end, it's fair, right? Like all of that arguing aside, I think Microsoft has been very kind to gamers. Again, very pro consumer, very nice. I mean, but on the other hand, you could make the argument Nintendo is not losing money and as strapped to do stuff, right? And making all of these choices, going back on certain choices because they've got a longer runway and money in the bank. And the reason they have that is because of practices like this, where they're like, if you want to have two copies of the game, you need to have two copies of the game. You know, that kind of sucks for consumers, but I kind of get it. Like you said, it's fair. It's fair.
right.
I get it. So, but for a two Switch 2 household, um, it's fun. I like it. Like it before. I mean, compared to like when you compare it to other things, I can get it. But then when you compare it to like what they had before, which was just no digital sharing at all,
Yeah.
it's it's a great step, right? And there was like two other things I wanted to talk about that happened last week. One of them was Nintendo announced that starting with the Yoshi game, digital games would be cheaper than physical games. And at least in like the US market, it's $10 cheaper. You can buy the game digitally from them for $60 or it is $70 for the physical copy. I don't think he listens to the NAF podcast, but if he does, we had a guy in the community who would like had a terrible take on it that he was just like, "Oh, like this freaking sucks." Like, can you believe it? And I was like, this is a good thing. We were promised when games started going full digital that they would be cheaper. And it
Right.
was like retailers that really pushed against that because they would just lose their business completely. There is no
Which happened
packaging.
anyway.
Right, it happened right. There's no packaging, there is no need to fabricate something. It really should be they're getting way more profit from digital games than a
Right.
physical game sale. And it should be cheaper. Like if you don't want to have the physical thing, it should be cheaper. I for one, I was ready to kind of make the switch to physical games now, like just kind of having a mental switch, especially to be able to share the games with my son. Now I think I'm going to go the other way. I think I'll start buying them digitally or continue to buy them digitally to save money. And and I can share them with my son anyway. So, there you go. What do you think about this move, D?
I just don't like changing games. Like, I'm a game jumper, right? So I mean, like
Right.
the inconvenience of like having to change like the disc or cartridge or what have you, or like, so I recently donated a Switch to someone, and I accidentally included two cartridges, and I was like, you know what? Just keep them. Like, it's
Just
fine.
keep yeah,
Like,
whatever.
I'll just buy them digitally or whatever. It was actually annoying having two cartridges when it came down to it because I had to switch them out when I wanted to play those specific
Right.
games, and always it would be the wrong one in to like be the
Right.
one that like I wanted to play or whatever. And like I mean like that sounds lazy, but like it's just like man, there's so many games that come out and everything, and like it's like it's just and physical media can get damaged, and then what are you gonna do, I mean like
Yeah.
there's that aspect as well.
That
And I
is
mean
a
like
huge point. My
yeah,
son, he has multiple games that you have to like push it in, like put it in and it's like can't read it and you just are constantly taking it out and putting it back in until it finally gets a read and there's nothing I can do to like it looks fine, but like you don't deal with that with digital games.
yeah. And I mean like they should be more expensive than digital, it feels like, I mean like digital should be cheaper, and the fact that that didn't happen was kind of frustrating. The fact that Nintendo is starting to do that is kind of exciting, honestly.
The
But
fact
like
that it's
also like
Nintendo doing it though is also really surprising to me.
That's kind of surprising, but Nintendo likes to like do weird things, I mean,
It's
like
true.
if anyone's gonna do something out of pocket that's like just not expected, that's probably gonna be Nintendo. Like
That's
everybody else kind of
valid.
colors within the lines for the most part. And I mean, like Xbox sometimes will surprise you. PlayStation almost always doesn't. Like, it's just
Well, and
uh,
with it, like they very easily could have been like the digital games are $70 and now the physical versions are $80. Right? They like
right.
because that doesn't even go back on like the games are going to be $70. They could really easily have done something like that and they haven't, which is I mean a weirdly consumer friendly move for them, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like I mean, I don't know. I think it might just be reading the tea leaves, reading like the future of things. Like Xbox and PlayStation have both been really trying very hard to get rid of like uh consoles with discs in them, Like with disc
Mhm.
trays. I mean, like they keep on introducing these SKUs without them. And like
Yeah,
it turns out that the audience is just a little bit too big for them to completely eradicate like
right.
uh their disc versions of those consoles, but like I, I'm thinking it'll probably happen within the next two gens, probably.
Well, that and like with Nintendo too, I know specifically for Pocopia, they are like out of stock everywhere. Like
Sure.
they
Yeah.
are having a difficult time producing enough. And that doesn't happen with every game, but you don't run into stocking issue with digital games and to
That's very
encourage
true
people
too.
to go that
Yes,
way.
absolutely.
I went to multiple stores to try to buy a physical version of Pocopia so I could share it with my son, and none of them had it. They were all sold out, so I ended up buying it digitally. And now I'm actually happy with the situation because of the way that I can lend it back and forth. Um, Also, oh, here's another thing, a weird thing to think about, but it comes up in Japan, the way I see kids interact. You don't need to be connected to the internet to share the games
Oh, that's super
because it's
interesting. Okay, yeah,
proximity,
right.
right?
Almost like
Because
NFC or whatever. Yeah,
because Nintendo
or
does that, right?
local.
Like my
Yeah,
son
yeah,
and I
yeah.
can play Monster Hunter together just on local with no internet, like, and they just communicate with each other. We don't even have to be on Wi-Fi. And I've seen in Japan kids do that in places, right? Like you see four kids with switches hanging out outside of a library or at a park or something, and they're all playing Smash together or doing something like that. That's something you see here. I mean, I can't imagine seeing that in the States with like, especially with like safety and stuff like that as a
And I mean,
thought of
like, I don't
like,
know, like, yeah, like it just feels like internet is kind of everything here. Like, even though
yeah.
it's slower here for some reason, but
But like I remember I went on a date with my wife and we went to check out this coffee shop and it was outside of this community center and there were like four kids like in this big area playing games but also like setting their switches down and running around and doing whatever and it was like a really idyllic kind of scene but I was just thinking about how at least growing up in Chicago like yeah I would have never set it down, right? It
eh,
would have been in my hands the whole time, let alone
there
like I
was
just
that.
probably wouldn't have it out in public, right? Like,
There
no,
was
you
that
can't have it out.
exactly. Like that's the one thing that like actually makes me a little bit nervous about like taking my ROG Ally places. Right? Is that this is like a $1,000 machine essentially, like I mean like with like a ton
And
of games on it and like the hardware upgrade that I did on it and everything, like I mean like, and it's way easier to steal than a laptop. Like I mean
right.
when it comes down to it, like I mean
Meanwhile, uh,
technically I can track it still, but I mean like like it wouldn't take that much effort to get rid of that if you really wanted to. Like
meanwhile, I was at the immigration office here in Japan like the other day, and I was just playing on my Steam Deck, and Shiho was playing on the Switch 2 next to me, right? And we're just like sitting there,
right,
just like, oh yeah, hey, what's up? It's a little more normal here, but like in that sense, it is kind of a cool. I like the thought that went into it of
sure.
like, okay, who's sharing games? I mean, yeah, it's cool to be able to share a game and not have to connect to the internet for it, you know?
I just
Um,
remember that trailer for the original Switch where they put it on like a park table and like
mm,
everybody gathered around it, and that just seemed so foreign to me. That was just such like a man. I can't imagine someone doing that here because like I feel like someone
right.
would
Who
like come
someone will just
by
walk
like
by and
like
grab it and run,
yeah.
right? Well, but also, when when I was playing my Switch 1, I almost never played with it on the TV personally. That was like the appeal of it, right? Was I could play it in
Right.
handheld mode, but I never played with it like with the kickstand.
Oh
I
sure.
always
Well,
would
that
just
kickstand was so trash. I mean, like
the
yeah.
kickstand was terrible. I have been playing my Switch 2 with the kickstand, like, at my desk. I'm actually really vibing with it. I really like it this way. This sounds so ridiculous because, like, I have a Steam Deck, but the Steam Deck doesn't have a kickstand. I watched, like, 4 episodes of Bridgerton on my Steam Deck for some reason. I was watching it on my Steam Deck instead of, like, on my iPad or something. I think I just had it out.
Sure.
So I, like, went to Netflix on my browser and I was watching it and hey guys, the visual bit for our visual podcast. I'm like watching it like this, right? Holding it, watching this show like this, or like watching like this, kind of doing whatever. And I was just like, man, I really wish I had like a kickstand on this that I could like set it down, but I don't want to buy a case that has a kickstand because then it doesn't fit into like the dock properly. It's a whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
But now I'm like, man, Netflix needs to make an app for the Switch too, and I'll just set it here and I can just watch and have my that would be sweet, you know?
Wasn't that like one of the only apps that came out for the Switch was like Netflix?
They
Like,
had
didn't
a
like most
Twitch
of the
app at
others?
one point and a
Oh,
YouTube
did
app.
they? Or yeah.
Yeah. I know they had a YouTube app, not Netflix. Maybe it was YouTube was the only one that came to the Switch, not
Okay. Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah.
But they had a Netflix app for the 3DS which is so ridiculous. I used to watch
That was pretty
Netflix
weird. Yeah.
on my 3DS back in like 2013. I used to work at the airport, and they had so there was no Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi at the airport at that time in 2013, but the airport was O'Hare in Chicago was a Nintendo zone. So any 3DS could connect to the Nintendo zone and like, do Street Pass and that kind of stuff, right?
Sure.
Remember
Yeah.
that? Like Nintendo
Yeah.
Street Pass
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do Street Pass and all that.
Really cool
But
idea.
also it did it also would get internet for free through the Nintendo Zone. Like only 3DSs could connect to it though. And so while I couldn't watch on like a Wi-Fi with my phone until I found out actually that the pilots had like a secret Wi-Fi that like if you knew the
Right.
info for it, it
Yeah.
would connect. And I got that from a pilot. And so I started doing that like later. But at the time, I would watch Netflix on my 3DS on that terrible little 3DS screen. I would watch Netflix while I was supposed to be working. Like, isn't that? But you know what else? Also, because it was a 3DS, you could turn on the 3D too. It's so dumb. Yeah. Anyway, I watched a few movies like that.
And
I watched season 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones
oh,
on an iPhone
jeez.
screen, and not even like a modern iPhone screen, on like the small one, right? On like a
Yeah.
little. I think it was. I had a iPhone 4, and I watched it on like an iPhone 4. It's pretty brutal.
I would say that only like the last two seasons deserve that treatment, but you know,
But one of the things going back with Nintendo is I had to pay like the local equivalent of like an extra $200 to get the international version. So I say the local equivalent because technically it is the same price as the American Switch. It's just that the Japanese currency is so devalued right now compared to a dollar, especially. But like wages haven't gone up, right? So what was once like 10,000 yen at one point was like $100. It felt like $100, right? But I bring that up because it still feels like $100 because wages haven't gone up, right? Like so for people working here, that's still like the equivalent of $100, but it's actually $62, right? But like if you're making Japanese money, you're not making that extra money. It's
or
just like the yen is weaker.
right.
So the way that they fixed this, and I talked about it before, is they had like a Japan only version of the Switch 2 that only supported Nintendo accounts in the Japan region, and they only had Japanese language. Like you weren't able to change the language. If the game itself lets you change the language, it's fine. But if the game only mirrors the system language, which many of the games do, then it's only in Japanese. And so that console is priced at 55,000 yen, which feels like um it feels like $500, but really it's 350, right? And so to get
Sure.
the
Yeah.
international version, I paid like 70,000 yen, which feels like $700, but actually 70,000 yen is, as of today, $438. So like so are we tracking here with these like price differences
Yeah.
and stuff?
Yeah.
But that's how Nintendo is trying to protect the the Japanese market. And their whole thing is that like they don't want to price it too high that Japanese people can't buy it, but then they also want to set it up so that foreign people can't just come to Japan and buy a bunch of cheap Switches and go back to their country and sell them for more money. So literally Japanese people pay less money than everywhere else in the world for their Switch. And the way they protect that is you just have to be able to read Japanese. Something I
Right.
don't think people know is PlayStation silently did this as well. There is a
Really.
Japanese language only, Japanese account only PlayStation 5 that is also priced similarly. Love 55,000 yen, like $550 here, but that's really only like 300 and something bucks in American dollars, right? And I'm bringing this up. One of the reasons I bought the Switch 2 was because, just to be completely honest, I'm worried about a price hike. Every console has a price hike, right? Like recently,
Man.
because of market stuff. And I was worried that maybe like I don't need to buy the Switch 2 right now. Maybe I could wait until the end of the year, but I would feel really stupid if they do a price hike and I have to pay like an extra 100, maybe $150, right? So I should just pull the trigger now before they do that. Literally while I was explaining this to my wife, because I'm like explaining why I'm, hey, remember how I bought a Switch 2 and then I returned it? I'm going to buy another one that's more expensive, but I'm doing it to possibly save money later because there's a lot of rumors that there's going to be a price hike. PlayStation announced a, was it
Yeah.
$150 price hike on their products, or is it
Uh,
$100? I don't.
it's mostly $100 for like most of their products. It's I think a $50 price hike on the PlayStation Portal. It's a $150 price hike on the PS5 Pro,
Which is crazy, bro.
which puts the PS5 Pro at $900, which is just like absolutely insane. Like that's
It's
wild.
actually insane. Well, and so here's the crazier part. So there was, that price hike is not hitting Japan. The
Well,
Japanese only market, well, no,
right. I
it's
was gonna
hitting the
say, yeah, yeah.
international versions of these, but they specifically have a Japanese language only model, and that one is not getting price hiked. Because also, for reference, in like a local currency, so now for me in Japan to buy a PS5, an international PS5, it would cost like what would feel like to me for like a Japanese wage, $1,000 for a normal one. It's 100,000 Japanese yen almost. And then the
Yeah.
PS5 Pro is 140,000 Japanese yen. It feels
Yeah.
like $1,400. That's wild.
That's it.
But
It's really wild, yeah.
what's the way around that? Oh, well, they have a Japan language only one that they're going to leave at the current price that it is. So like Japanese people aren't going to feel it. And it's really interesting to like look at globalization and like how there used to be different regions and all that stuff. And then they're like, "Oh, what if we just make one and sell that one everywhere?" So then there was like just like the global version of it. And
Well,
then to kind of walk that back a little bit is super interesting.
it's also super interesting because like I don't think like the fact is that there's a lot of countries that speak English. English is kind of like a like international trade language in a lot of areas.
Right. They
And
can do
like
it.
so I mean like when it comes down to it, like there's no such thing as like there's no equivalent to that on the in
Right.
the US market or the UK market or anything like that. Like they could like I guess like region lock it, but when it comes
Right.
down to it, like they could not do like a sneaky like region language thing where like you need to know English because like it wouldn't affect sales like hardly at
Because
all. Like I mean
everybody
like
already knows English, right? The game's
yeah,
already
I
in
mean like
English. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty crazy this week because I actually was going to talk to a friend here that I've been encouraging her to buy a PS5 and she hasn't done it. And then I was going to be like, "Oh, look, you should have listened to me. Look, now it's like an extra $100 or whatever." But then I like started looking. It's like, oh, the digital one, they're not raising the price, or not the digital, the Japanese one, they're not raising the price of it.
One
They're
like
just
they
going to leave
did
it.
they just raised the prices of all of these in August of last year. And then they raised
Yep.
them I think earlier last year as well. And like it's just like it's a crazy market and I get that. But like I mean like especially with RAM prices going up and everything and like I mean but also like this is just unprecedented I think to see like the price of consoles get so expensive to the point where they're like what, like another like 50% more expensive than they were at launch?
I
Like
think it
through like
was, yeah, buying it now, I think is like, I think it was like 30 to 60% more than if you had bought it at launch,
yeah. And like
which
I
is
mean like
crazy.
7 years into the life cycle for most of these products too. Like I mean like that's wild. And like Xbox is like also has risen their prices and everything. Nintendo, I think have they? I'm not sure.
Not
I
for
feel
the
like they
Switch 2, not yet.
yeah.
Well, they
I think
did
for
with
the
like the
Switch they
tariff
might have
stuff.
once or well
Yeah,
yeah,
with the Switch
yeah.
they did once, yeah.
Yeah.
But the, yeah, but it's also interesting to see the top dog do it first,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't Microsoft being like, "Yeah, like we're not moving enough of these and this da 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 da, and so we need to raise the price to cover it." No. No, Sony was just like, "Hey, guess what? Guess what, guys? Your day just got a lot worse, which is crazy, bro. So like, I'm just never gonna own a PlayStation, right? Not only did I not
I
want
mean,
one, but now, like, it's
like
so expensive that it's ridiculous. I could buy a new cell phone for that
there
much
is
money.
there is another universe in which I would have been kind of salivating a little bit at the PS5 Pro, but the fact is that like only like I think I don't even know how many games support it, like actually support it to the point where it's meaningful, and like it doesn't seem like very many. It seems like a thing like where the game manufacturers actually have to do the work, as opposed to like it
Mm,
just automatically like being upresed or whatever. Like usually those half steps would like allow. Uh,
right,
I'm sure there's some automatic like upresing, but like in terms of like taking advantage of the PS5 Pro, like it seems like the devs would actually have to make a version that like is compatible with that. And also like I mean like when Xbox isn't playing that half step game this time around, like
right.
most software developers are like, well, I mean like do we really have to do this? Like I feel like we probably don't, like I mean when we're not even taking full advantage of the systems that we have now, because honestly,
Right.
like I mean, I don't think we're anywhere near the tech ceiling for the
Right.
PS5 or the Xbox Series. And I mean,
Mhm.
even the Switch 2, I feel like actually probably has some overhead before it's like actually like optimized to the
Maxed out.
fullest
Oh,
extent.
totally.
Yeah. And so I mean like
Bro,
yeah.
and when the PS5 Pro is $250 more expensive
Yep.
than the
Yeah.
Xbox
Like
Series X
I'd like
as of
there's
now.
just no rationale for it whatsoever that like could convince me that it's worth getting at this point. They could say that like, oh, we figured out like how to make every game like a best, and
Right.
I'd be like,
Well,
yeah, but
but it's
$1,000 for a
crazy.
console? Like, I mean, like, man, like 600 was a bit of a stretch for the Xbox One. I made it work, but
Right.
like that also included the Connect. Like, I mean, like,
Right.
like
Well, that
innovative tech and everything, and like, yeah,
and just like $250 extra, that's like 3 full price games.
yeah.
Like, let's not even put Game Pass on the table. That's 3
Hmm.
full price. You could buy an Xbox Series X and 3 brand new full price games for the cost of a
Yeah.
PS5 Pro with no games. You would just have it, right?
Or I mean, like
Like,
PS5 Pro at $900. That's how many games? Like in terms of like, I don't even know what 900 divided by 60 is, but it's a lot. And
I
I
mean,
would much
aren't we
rather
doing by
do that
70?
or
Are we doing by
70. Yeah, I
70 or
guess. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
by 900 divided by 70 is 12.8.
yeah. So like 13 games essentially. I mean, if one's a little bit cheaper.
Right. Right. Yeah, if you do it during the sale, it's even more. It's even more. But
Man, it just doesn't make sense. Like even
but how does it feel to be an
I
owner of a
dislike.
PlayStation and have it?
I
At
mean,
least, it doesn't affect you,
I'm glad I do. It almost makes me want to sell mine. But like at the same time, I've
right?
never felt good about like selling tech when it comes down to it. I've always regretted it to the point where it was like,
Mhm.
okay, like even if I wasn't using it, it was like the amount that I got back for it was just not enough to justify going through that process.
Right. You gotta
So,
take this
I
advice
mean,
with a grain of salt, but my feeling is that the savings of buying used technology is not worth it. Lithium ion like lithium batteries have a shelf life,
sure.
right? Like, listen,
That's true.
if
Yeah.
you want to save some money and buy a used 4-year-old version of something, if you would have bought the new one, maybe you could stretch that thing out and make it last like 6 to 7 years. If you buy the 4-year-old version, that's 3 years. And if money is an issue, of
That's a
course,
good
that's a
point.
different
Yeah.
conversation. It's a different conversation. But if that's not an issue and you just don't want to spend as much, it's just like, the longevity of something is, that doesn't always carry over. It also depends on what you're buying, of course, right?
Sure.
Like, people
Yeah.
would be like, Johnny, older guitars are worth more money. And it's like, yeah, that's because of wood. That's because of how wood works and that it grows and has character over time. That's not the same thing as buying, like, instead of buying like an iPhone. And if you buy an iPhone 17, you will be able to keep that longer than if you buy an iPhone 13. Period.
Yeah.
Like, It's not that the iPhone 13 is not good, it's that the like, you'll keep an iPhone 17 for 5 years or 6 years, you'll keep an iPhone 13 for just a few before you start to feel like you need to change it. That's been my opinion. I don't like to buy used technology as well, and I've
Yeah.
almost never sold any. I usually end up just giving it away. Like, it sounds bad,
Man,
but, like, I'll just give it because it's like,
yeah.
whatever, it's fine.
That's exactly what I do too. And like I think that's fine. I think like then someone gets something for free, they can decide whether they want to continue to
Mm.
invest in it or not, I mean like in turn
And then
like
you don't
the
have to feel
next thing
bad if
that
it's
comes
messed if
around
it, like,
and
has a
yeah,
ding on it or something, you know?
right. Yeah.
Like, you're like, "Hey, listen, you got it for free.
And it
What do
cost
you
me
want?"
nothing to give it away too. Like I mean when it comes
Right.
down to it, I already made the purchase. So like I mean like yeah.
You don't have to ship
I,
it to anybody, you don't have to do anything like that, like, it's just, "Sure, you can have this, here you go." I have done that, so I'm excited. I have a Switch 2, I like it, I'm playing Pocopia, I like it. I don't have a PlayStation, I don't plan on buying one. I like it, I'm happy, can't afford it even if I wanted to at this point. For an update, uh, there's no price yet on the Steam machine. I know we've been avidly
it's
following
true.
this on this
Yeah.
podcast.
Good to
I
know though. Still.
Yeah, I actually am checking. Let's see. Oh, the update is that the original release window was early 2026. Now, then it was first half of 2026. Now the window is just 2026. They just keep pushing that window back.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Although nice of them to still stick to 2026. Optimistic, I feel like. We'll see.
Yeah.
like I mean,
Good. Good lord.
we also got a pretty like relatively like a window for the Expanse game, which I'm very excited about.
Oh
Uh
my gosh.
yeah.
I played the Telltale Expanse game. I played the first chapter. And I told you, the only Telltale games I played were like The Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead Season 1, and the Game of Thrones game. So I've not played like a more modern one, like the Batman one or Tales from the Borderlands or something.
I would say
The
though,
Expanse one
man,
is very good.
I
It's
would say that the
very good.
Batman ones felt a lot like the Game of Thrones ones, but with some walking segments, whereas the Expanse one felt like a whole tier above like
It
any of that.
y-
Yeah.
I was flying.
Yep.
I was floating in 3D space. It was awesome.
And then
It was
clicking your
awesome.
magnetic boots felt so good. Like
Oh,
it
it
really
felt
did.
so good.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bad because I'm so like sucked into Pocopia that like I am like not like even focused on anything. But man, chapter one of the Expanse Telltale game. What a great game.
Yeah.
I
Looking forward to like more of that universe for sure. With the
Same.
Expanse RPG coming out next year. That's
And
like spring next year. Yeah.
what book are you on?
I'm
Are you on
on
the
the
last
last
one?
book. I'm on the last book. I read all the
Should we have
novellas finally. Like I mean like yeah,
You know what's
so
funny?
I'm
I have not read any of the novellas. I plan on
really
going back to them. So the way that I read series is I skip novellas. I skip the in-betweens. I hit the main books first, and then the in-betweens are like I go back for those as like give me another hit of the
like
universe,
little
you
dips
know?
back into the yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, like I wanna know the thing, right? And I'm rewatching the show with Chiho. We're on season 3. Oh, what a great what a great universe. What a great show.
Yes,
Man.
really.
Uh,
Actually, yes, yeah. And the books are like actually they hold up pretty well in like comparison to the show too, which I was kind of surprised about because I just couldn't imagine that with how good the show is. But like, yeah,
there are some things about the show I think I like more, to be honest. I love the books, but the show did certain things so well
yeah,
that I
agreed.
really love it. But then, I think my favorite thing is that the show ends early. So
Sure.
like there's a
Yeah.
whole section that's just book that is great. And
The last book,
man,
like I think the second to last
the
book you could
actual
like
anxiety,
potentially yeah.
the actual
Like the
anxiety I
I
had
think
reading it.
the last two books before this final one, I feel like could have been like another season potentially, like years
Mhm,
down the line. Like you would
mhm.
have to age up the actors because there's a time jump thing or whatever. But like I think you
Mhm.
could make it work. I don't know how you would make this last book work though. like so far.
This last
I'm
book
only
is
like 40% in
crazy.
it, but like I mean, like I don't know how you make that like work in a visual medium. I think some
Yeah,
things like are almost better left to the imagination.
yeah.
I wonder also, like I mean, like how the Harry Potter show will do, because it like that being a show and them releasing their first trailer or whatever this week, like that's going to probably be way more in depth than the movies were, which kind of skimmed over a lot of things, you know, and like kind of generalized, and also had different directors for like each movie too, or at least like some of them did, and like so the consistency kind of varied, you know. I mean, like
I
I'm
never read the
curious
books, so I don't
how the
I
show will
only
do.
know the movies. And
Yeah,
it's interesting because being someone who only knows the movies, I'm not super interested in the Harry Potter world.
sure.
I mean, we've said so much on this podcast that the Dresden Files are better.
I mean, true,
Uh
very true.
the but it is interesting to me. I'm really interested to see how successful it is, because I wonder, do I just hear the vocal minority of like
Sure.
the very intense hate toward the Harry Potter universe, specifically directed toward J.K. Rowling? Or because I mean, based on what I had heard and how I had felt, I would have thought that, or not how I felt, but based on what I had heard, you would have thought that Hogwarts Legacy would have been like one of the worst performing games of all time. And it was
Right.
like the highest seller that year. So I see a lot of stuff, negative stuff about this show. And I wonder, is it going to be like a Hogwarts Legacy? Is it just going to be super popular and people are going to love it? Or are people going to put their money where their mouth is and actually the show's going to get canceled or something? I just really don't know. I don't know.
Yep. That'll be really interesting to see too. Um, the I don't know. Like, I don't really necessarily care that much about Harry Potter when it comes down to it. I could leave it. Like, I mean, like, I think the books are actually pretty good, but like ultimately, like, I mean, and Hogwarts Legacy, I think shows a lot of love to that universe. And I think the movies are most of them are just downright like okay to bad. Like when it comes down to it, they've got some good things like that they kind of add or whatever, and some visuals that they like kind of bring to life. But it's kind of like we were talking. Like I almost wonder if like an animation would have done better in terms of
Mm,
at least like you know like bringing the world to life like in a consistent way, as opposed to like oh this is just what this looks like in real life. Like I mean like I think about that with certain things where oh man I'm gonna forget. I lost my train of thought. There was something that like there's certain franchises that I think about that I think that like oh I think Ark would actually be a good example for this or Jurassic Park or whatever. I mean I don't know where some things are like it's cool to see how they measure up like in comparison with like
mm,
real life visuals, you know, for the novelty of it.
right,
Like to see like how big a like T-Rex would be like right next to you is like cool. But like I don't necessarily know that like it's anything beyond that. Like I feel like
right.
you can kind of like lose the focus of like you still need a good story. You still need like a consistent like kind of like vision and it needs to be
Mhm,
like paced well and I think that's really hard to do with like imaginary things like you know
mm,
or
mhm,
like not or like no longer existing things or whatever you know I mean like when it comes down to it
yeah,
so I think that like things that don't exist that you're like basically kind of like making up uh what they like look like or how they'd interact with the real world or whatever. I think that like you can get so caught up in that that you lose sight of like okay, what's actually like a good story to tell with that, you know?
right.
And so
What
like
does the medium what's good for the medium?
right, it's like getting like too addicted to CGI kind of in a way where it's just like okay, like this isn't real and the actors know it isn't real because they're just acting in front of a green screen and
Right,
the story is kind of like just leading from point to point of like titillation or like shocking moments you know I mean like it just kind of guides you on this journey to like experience the next big experience. It's like well that's not a
right.
good story then like I mean like you know
I think
you should
of,
be there for the whole ride.
I just saw Project Hail Mary yesterday. Incredible film. I don't wanna overdo it because I feel like it may have been overdone for me, but it was a really like it didn't change my life, you know what I mean? But it was a
Sure.
really good movie. It's based on a book written by, I think his name is Andy Weir or something like that, the guy who wrote The
Yeah.
Martian. And in a similar way, that movie, Project Hail Mary, uh, really it's held together by the most incredible performance of Ryan Gosling. Just like The Martian was held together by this incredible performance of Matt Damon, right? Where there is
Yeah.
one guy on the screen talking and doing stuff, and he's the one that brings you in, right? Brings you in from the cold. And like you're just in it with him and his charisma and watching him go through it. Like that is something that they did a really good job like highlighting and relying on of like him and his performance. And for people who've seen the trailer, there is like an alien creature that is in it, and like apparently it was practical, like it was puppeted. It was a puppeted thing. But even with that, and like this, it's like the like a buddy cop kind of vibe, right? Like these two dudes like gonna save the universe kind of deal. Like it still very much landed on Gosling, and he just did a great. He knocked it out of the park, right? And as far as stories go, where people be like, "Oh, but there were like maybe there were these crazy visuals, maybe that," but that's not like the heart of the story. Like you said, like they really had a good focus on like what are we good with, and we have this great actor and like pushing it forward.
Right.
And in that way, I very much agree with you. Like there are some times that like maybe for spectacle, we're getting to a point that animation is fine. Because part of what that spectacle was before was that we had never seen anything like that before, right? Like, oh
Right.
wow, like we'd never seen a big battle like in Lord of the Rings. They literally developed technology to like make these shots possible of like 10,000 people, an army of 10,000 orcs. Like we'd never seen anything like that before. And now that's pretty normal. The novelty's really worn off. And like you said, it's like kind of like, well, I mean, didn't have to be this way. Do we have to do that? While you're talking about, I was thinking about another series that would do really well animated. That's like a live action series. I don't remember what it was that I was like, yeah, this could be an animated series and it would do great. But one of the other ones, what one of the other things that happened last week is like that trailer for the live action Moana just dropped.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I am so torn on this because actually Moana is like my favorite Disney princess. I love Moana and
He's up
Moana
there for
2.
me too. Yeah.
I think the animation is beautiful. I really connect with the story and love it. And to be honest with you, I think this shows how I'm an optimist. I was excited for the live action Moana, just like I was for Mulan and all these other terrible ones. I was excited about it. And it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great, right? Like I'll say that.
Right.
Like The Rock, I my favorite comment that someone made with like the picture of The Rock with the wig is he's like he somehow still looks bald.
I just saw the picture right before we started the cast, and yep,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I can't
You're like,
disagree
oh
with that.
man,
Yeah.
like I get that it's cool to have the same guy. That's cool. Like it's like Katie Sackhoff as Bo Katan in the animated and in their live action, right?
Right. Yeah.
That she could pull that off. That is very cool. Actually seeing him though, he doesn't look like Maui. Like, and this is this hard thing
Sure.
of like
Yeah.
when you're a
No, I
personality,
agree. I
it's like
absolutely agree.
too much. Like I just see The Rock, right? Just like Jack Black. I just see Jack Black, but Jack Black doesn't play a ton. Well, no, actually, that's not even true. There are some roles where he does a more serious role, like I don't see Jack Black. Like he's actually acting, and I'm like I bought in, right? But like I
Yeah.
just see The Rock. Like, and it's really hard, and like it's not really he's way too small. Is that a funny thing to say about The Rock? He looks way too small. Like, why is his head so thin? Like, I don't know. He doesn't look like Maui. And
Yeah.
it's a pretty hard I don't know. It's my favorite Disney princess story, and I don't know that I want to watch it. Also, some of the visuals look like a little too much like the animation. Like it looks really like it. why are we still making shot for shot remakes of the animated movies with these live actions? Why are they doing that? Like, I don't know, D. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah. Like there's here's an example of something that like I'm kind of glad it isn't live action is Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord comes out on April 6th. And like that's going to be animation. And
Good.
according to Whitwer, who also I don't necessarily know would like make a great like live action Maul, but he allegedly, and I will say this, he does a pretty decent job in the Clone Wars and like all that.
Mhm.
Like I you know, according to Whitwer, it's not like you don't need to have seen anything else to like see it. Like you can just dive straight in, which I'm also excited about that because like I don't know when I'll get around to like trying to watch the Clone Wars again.
I, I won't watch it. I'm just skipping it. I'm just skipping it. You know, I watched Ahsoka and all these other things without watching the Clone Wars. It'll be fine. I can bad I got it. I can make it work. I make this work.
The only hesitancy I have is that there is a book called Darth Maul Shadow Lord that was
Mhm.
really really good, and like I don't think this is following the same plot line as the book. We'll see, but I kind of doubt it. But that
Is it a
was a
prequel to
really good
episode
book.
1?
Uh, this is I this is no, this is set after the events of the Clone Wars.
Interesting.
Apparently, yeah.
Hmm. I still can't think of property that I was thinking would be good animated that didn't have to be live action. I still can't think of it. Like, and I know that you would have been like, "Oh yeah, that would be a great animated
You know,
thing."
for as much as video game movies like are you know pretty popular now as live action, I would actually be totally fine with like some of these studios like Blur or whatever, or like the cinematic like Blizzard studio to just make
Oh yeah.
movies like that are animated. I would be
Oh
totally
yeah.
down with that. Like, I mean, like, so
A Warcraft movie?
Xbox,
Let's do that again. I loved the other
you know,
Warcraft movie. Let's just
uh,
do it again.
uh, I think it'd be better animated than it was like the live action. Though, I like people had problems with the live action or whatever. But Blizzard cinematics are on like another tier. And I feel like
Right.
they could actually like make something really, really cool with that. Same with like Square Enix, like I mean, like or whoever the studio was that did Advent Children. I know people hate on that
Mhm.
movie, but I mean, like I love it. Okay, like
I
give
don't
me more of that.
why do people hate on that movie? It's a great
I
movie. And you you can't hate that movie and like Final Fantasy at the same time. I'm sorry. That's it. You can't hate that movie and like any anime. Like anything from Japan, if you don't like Advent Children, like I'm sorry, you're a hypocrite because like it hits all of the right notes. You
Man,
know,
I
that's
just think
yeah.
it's so great. I still love it even to this day. Now, Kingslave, that was okay. That would like that
I
had
didn't see
some
that one. I didn't see it.
that felt more kind of like it was like strung together, kind of. Like
Mm,
so like it was a little less like cohesive and like more disjointed and like kind of like almost like felt like a companion piece like to the
mm,
game as opposed to like Advent Children kind of being like almost like its own thing, like a retelling a little bit of like
mm,
the game or like certain parts of the game anyway. So yeah.
mm.
But Xbox announced their June event today. So they're gonna have that in June 7th, I think, or something like that.
We'll see if anything good comes out of it.
Uh, their main like follow after is gonna be Gears of War, which I'm excited for. Uh, but I also really want to know what's up with the future of Gears of War as opposed to like another prequel. So I mean,
I'm
like,
just tired. Listen, just end stories, everybody. Just let this when
sure,
you ended the story, let it be over. Like, what is this? We need to end. We need to end this podcast. But like, what is this of like we had? There's I saw a poster for Toy Story 5. They
oh
should
sure,
have
yeah, yeah,
ended. Hey, the ending of Toy Story 3 was perfect. I haven't watched Toy Story 4. People have told me it's good. I don't need to watch it because
it's
we
good,
don't
but it
need
almost
that
feels like,
movie.
yeah,
We
it feels
don't need that
unnecessary.
movie. It was over. We could do a spin-off movie that's not Toy Story but in the Toy Story universe, whatever. We don't
Right.
need that. Why now there's
Or
a
a
Toy
show.
Story 5. What is this? What is this? Why, like, and then you just leave it hanging. I'm looking at you, Halo Infinite. I'm looking at you, Gears of War 5, where they're like, guess
Yeah.
what? Hey, what's gonna happen next? And you're like, what is gonna happen next? And it's like the Ryan George skits.
We'll
They're
tell
like,
you in
I
like 10
don't
years.
know. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, are you serious? Why didn't you let this be over back there? And you could have just remade the games back there. And
Right.
they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we want to ruin your life. We want you to be sad fans. That's why.
But I do feel like Gears of War would
Ridiculous.
actually be an awesome animated show, and I don't know that it would actually like be as good as a live action, even though I know oh shoot, what's that one guy? Other wrestling guy. He was in
John Cena?
Guardians of the Galaxy. No.
John Cena? Oh, Dave
No.
Batista.
Yes, Batista really wants a like live action Gears movie, apparently.
He would be a great Dom. I think he would be. Or, I
He
mean, he would be a
he
great Marcus Phoenix. He would be a
he
great Phoenix, Marcus Phoenix too.
he's older, so I feel like he would have to be an older Marcus Phoenix when it comes down to it.
I would love
But
a good.
like
Who's going to be? Oh, you know what would be great? I saw someone. I saw a comment. This is kind of going back a little bit, where someone was like, the Moana movie we want to see, and it's like The Rock is Maui and Moana is Kevin Hart. The live action Moana that we want. Ugh, yeah.
they do
Listen,
have really good chemistry together. I will say that.
that man.
But The Rock is always The Rock, I feel
What's the
like.
anim?
Almost always.
What's the animated? What's the animated thing or not animated that I was gonna be like that would be good animated? I don't. I can't remember. I
But
can't
I would
remember.
love to see a Gears of War like cartoon. I feel like that would be really cool. I feel like you could tell a lot of story through that. It was kind of cool getting the snippets in like the animation that this cutscenes in 5.
I would love an animated Expanse series. You visit it
That
and
would be really
animate it
cool too,
from beginning
actually.
to the end.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Like,
yes. I would love
one
that.
of the
Yes.
things that Chiho brought up, shelters as being unnaturally tall and stuff. After that, they just look like people because guess what?
Worked.
All of the
Yeah.
actors are Earthers, and they instead signal that they're Belters by like their hairstyles and their tattoos and like the way they talk.
Their
But like
aesthetics,
in
yeah.
an animated, yeah, in an animated show, they could do stuff like that. They could age, like you have flexibility to do all kinds of stuff like that. That would be
Well,
really
especially
cool.
with like the inner outer like kind of conflict being so like appearance based, right? Like I mean
Right.
like that being such a tension that's driven by the way that they look different from each other
Mhm.
in the books
Well, and
especially,
where
but
it
also in
ends,
the
where the
show they
show
mention it
ends
too.
going forward,
Yeah,
right? Where the show ends going forward, they could do a lot of that really well with animation,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Like not even just aging up, but showing like Laconian technology. Now I see because at the time I hadn't read the books, like where they leave the show off. It's like, oh, they could have done a movie or something. They could have done something and didn't end up doing it. But I hope you enjoy the last book, man. It's a wild ride. It is a wild ride, that last book. Can't wait to talk about it. On that note, do you have any closing comments, D?
I don't think so. I think
I hope
that's pretty much
everyone
it.
listening, make sure you like and subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. And I hope you already bought your PS5s. We'll see you guys next time. Bye. Get out of here, Craig.